Today we're going to be working on Leetcode question number 284, PeekingIterator. Design an iterator that supports the peek operation on an existing iterator in addition to the hasNext and the next operation. Normally we have hasNext and next. hasNext just tells you it's just gonna give you the boolean value true or false depending on whether or not you still have an element for the iterator to iterate from, and next is gonna iterate to the next element. So the next returns the next element in the array, moves the pointer to the next element. Boolean hasNext returns true if there are still elements in the array. Peek, which is going to be the new one, is going to return the next element in the array without moving the pointer. So there's going to be an addition of peek, which is going to just look and return to the next element but won't really move to the next element. So here's an example, pretty straightforward. We added three numbers 1, 2 and 3. And then next is gonna move to the second one and return the first one. Sorry, move to the first element and return at peek is just gonna look at the next element but won't move it there. The next is gonna move it and return it. So that's why we have two twos, and then the next is gonna move it to 3, and then next is gonna say false because we don't have any more elements after 3. We're gonna initialize our class by doing, like, we can have an integer value next which we can return anytime whenever they are looking for an integer value, all those functions which are returning there. So we can use this next inside the peek and the next value. We're gonna have an iterator iterator of type integer, let's call it iter, and then we're gonna have a boolean value saying no such element. So when it comes to the initialization class, we are just gonna do two things. One is the iterator is gonna say that our iterator is gonna become equal to the input iterator, and the next thing we want to do is to advance the iterator. So we're gonna call a private function advance iterator, and what this private function does, advance iterator, so what it would do for us is, like, it's gonna say that uh, whether or not the iterator we have, uh, if it has next, then move it to the next. Otherwise we're gonna set our no such element equals to true. So if the iterator has next, we're gonna be saying set our local next to the iterator dot next. Otherwise just set our local no such element equals to true. Okay, so when we are peeking, we're just gonna be returning the next. We already have our next as an integer value set when we initialize it, because the next became equal to iterator dot next. So we're gonna just return that. Next, what we're gonna be doing in the next is, first of all, we need to look into if this is true, if no such element is true. If this is true, right, then we just need to throw an exception that you are asking for a next element but you don't have any more elements. So we will just say throw new no such element exception. So this for this one you need to import that. Import that would be Java utility dot no such element exception. Okay, so the first thing in the next we're gonna be doing a sanity check. If no such element is true, that means you should not have called that, so we are throwing an exception here, right? Otherwise what we're gonna be doing is that we're gonna say our integer result is basically equal to the next, right? We already made a copy of that, and then we advance the iterator because the next is gonna change now. Advance iterator, and then we're gonna return the result. And lastly, we for the hasNext, we already know if there is like no such element exists or not, so we can just return that it's gonna be opposite logic for this. If there is no such element, we are gonna be returning no such element is there, we're gonna be returning true. That basically if no such element is gonna be true when there is no, when we are done, right? So if it is if there is an element, we're gonna be returning not of that. So if there is hasNext, if no such element is becomes true, that means we are done, so hasNext is gonna become false. So that should do it. Cannot find the symbol iterator dot next. Yeah, because this is a function. Looking good. That works.